So the first thing that we're going to be kind of reviewing before we actually get into the system and talk about payments is talking about the resources that we have to offer you guys. And pretty much everything that's going to be discussed today, we already have it in a written format. If you go to our knowledge base and in the very beginning, the home screen, we have a section specifically for SuperMove payments. Clicking here, it's going to take you to two different routes, either using payments or getting started in case you're in the setup phase. Depending on what it is that you click, you're going to see a list of different types of articles that you can go ahead and look into, do a little bit of research on your own, stuff like that. And pretty much everything that we're discussing today already shows up here. So without any further ado, now we are going to go ahead and get into the system. As we all know, guys, SuperMove Payments is our in-house solution for transactions and credit card payments, meaning that this is a solution that lets you pretty much gather payments or money through the actual platform itself via the Crew app or the Office app if we're doing a manual payment via the system. The actual interface that we have for payments is this one right here. If you are a payments customer, you're going to see a payment section on the very left-hand side with the rest of your main tabs. And by clicking into this, it's going to default us to the dashboard. Now, we're going to be going through the different tabs that we have within the payments section itself. And starting off, like I said, the dashboard. This is pretty simple. This is just going to show you a graph where it shows the amount of cash being collected and the amount of transactions that have occurred. And we can see that this is on a month-to-month basis. So a very simple bar graph. Transactions. Transactions, this is where you may be focusing most of your energy when it comes to payment section itself, because this is where we see the history of all the transactions that have occurred in the SuperMove system. Now, this is going to contain everything from credit card sales that have been approved and credit card sales that have been denied. And one of the main things that customers tend to do here as well is refunds. So this is something that I actually want to show you guys because this is something that typically comes up in the support hub on our end. And it's a very simple process. So let's say you may be overcharged the customer, you're going to give a discount, whatever the case is, there's a refund that has to be made. We're going to come to this section of the payments. We're going to locate the actual payment that we have or that we made. We can locate it by many ways. We can do it by the customer name, the card holder name, the card number, transaction ID, so on and so forth. However, once we have found said transaction that we want to run a refund on, we click on it and we're going to see the refund / void option in the top right. Here, we're going to put in the amount that we're refunding. It can be either a total refund or a partial refund. We leave a reason, and then we can see that it takes 5 to 10 days to appear in your customer statement, and that is information that we're going to obviously want to share with them as well. However, guys, this is one part of the refund. We should remember that once we do the refund here, we have to record a payment on the project itself for a negative value for whatever amount was refunded, and then that's pretty much a full circle in that sense. Giving you a little bit more of an overview here as well, guys. When it comes to transactions, this is also going to show declined transactions. And when we do have a declined transaction, if we click into the transaction itself, and just take a quick look to see if I have one here. Don't seem to have one, but in the case that there is a declined transaction, obviously it would say sale declined, and by clicking into it, it would give us an error code or an error message, pretty much alluding to why that card or that transaction failed. Now, within the information that we have for you guys in our knowledge base, we have a newly created article called Payment Transaction Errors. This goes in depth with all the different types of errors that you're going to see pop up in the system itself. Some are pretty self-explanatory, others are a little bit more complicated, hence why we created this specific article. So just for you guys to know, and just pitching that in there as well. Now that we've discussed transactions, we're going to go ahead and move over to batches. So batches, as the name suggests, they're the batches of all the transactions that happened either in a day or in a multiple set of days. Your payments, your transactions, they're usually paid out the following day if it's during the week. If it's on a weekend, it's going to be paid out the next calendar day, or in this case, Monday. And the way that these batches work, guys, is, let's say I had 14 jobs today and I collected 14 different credit card payments today. That's going to be today's batch of payments. That's going to be, let's say, batch number 831 in our case. And it's going to show us a total number of sales, total number of refunds, total number of transactions, etc., for that specific day, aka the batch. That batch is then going to turn into a payout, which is what we see right here. And that payout is pretty much now the money landing in your bank account, right? So here you can see all the different payouts as well, pretty much seeing all the batches that were completed. If, for example, there are cases where there's a batch number that doesn't match a payout number or that's maybe missing, that could be the case of, something happening with that specific batch that needs to be looked over, a claim, a dispute, et cetera, stuff like that, something that's holding the money in place. That's something usually that we take care of over at support. It's just like a case that we have here on our end. So if that ever is the case, guys, obviously please reach out and we will help you get that batch turned into a payout ASAP and let you understand why that's being maybe held. So now that we understand batches and payouts, guys, one thing I do want to kind of take a step back on, all the way from transactions, all this information that you're seeing here, guys, this is information that you can export to a CSV. So if you need to have this in a CSV format, an Excel file, etc., feel free to do so by using this button right here. And as you can see, that's pretty much on every single page that we have available. Moving forward, we now have statements. So your statements, guys, they're going to be available the 8th day of the following month. So for example, if I want to see the statement for January, I'm going to have to wait till February 8th for that statement to be available. And that's pretty much the trend, and that's what you can expect year long, essentially. The 8th of every month is when you're going to see the statement for the previous month itself. And from here, you have a couple of options. You can view the statement in the Supermove system itself. Or once you're on this page, you can go ahead and download it again, if you ever need an actual copy of it on your computer. Right. Back. All right, so that's statements. And lastly, guys, on the payments tab, we have now disputes. So if you guys have any chargebacks, any claims, essentially any type of dispute on a payment with a customer, this is where it's going to pretty much pop up. The first step of the process is that you guys would actually be informed via email. And once you get that email notification, the intention is for you to come to this dispute section to start to work on said dispute/claim. Again, guys, in the articles, in the information we have for you in our knowledge base, we do have a specific article for chargebacks and disputes, the how-tos, frequently asked questions, and essentially how to complete a chargeback or a dispute, in other words. And that is everything with the payments tab that we have here, guys. Obviously, there are other sections for payments, like some of the settings that we're about to review as well. And these would be a little bit more on the internal side. So actually taking a step back. When we go into settings and then we click into company settings, here we're going to have a section called accounting. And payments. Apologies. And under payments, we're going to see a couple of other things that we can modify that are going to pretty much affect how we charge customers and even fees that are applied to payments themselves. Now, starting from the very top, we have payment methods. So this is pretty much how we're going to tell the system what type of payment methods we accept for our moves. In our case, we have Supermove credit cards, we have external credit cards, PayPal, Venmo, cash, check, and other. Let's say I want to create another one like Zelle. That's a pretty simple process. We click create in the top right, give this a payment name. We already have Zelle as a predetermined option. We could actually change the name, modify it if we wanted to as well. Payment fee, if a payment fee applies for this payment method itself. Office app, if this is a payment method that we want shown when we're charging customers or when we're recording a payment via the Office app. And the Crew app, here we're pretty much saying like, hey, what projects do we want this payment method available for? In this case, let's just say we want them all. Once we set all this information up, guys, we can go ahead and click save, and we have our new payment method on the system right here, as we can see. Now, if we want to edit maybe one of the existing ones, for example, the credit card fee for the credit card payment method itself, we just click on the blue pencil icon and we modify the fee like so. Pretty simple. Now we have other sections, for example, this one that says Office app. This is pretty much saying, what payment methods are available through recording a payment on the Office app. And remember, guys, the Office app is what I'm currently on right now, which is the desktop version. Crew app, this is pretty much showing what project type and what payment methods are accepted on said project type. There could be a case where, Your local and your commercial moves can approve all types of payment methods, but maybe storage, they need to have some type of credit card on file for auto payment to happen. That's just a small example of how this could come into play. We have now additional steps. We have billing and tips. This is within the Crew app. So we have here billing adjustments. We have billing. Well, under this billing section, it's just to see if we want to show saved cards on the actual profile itself. Remember, when you guys charge a credit card or add a credit card to the system, that is automatically saved onto the customer profile. And this is pretty much a way for you to always either see it or to hide it from the customer profile itself. Now we are on to the tips section. This is essentially the tips that you're offering to your customers whenever a move is completed. This is a step that is shown on the Crew app itself. And these are pretty much the settings or the options that you can apply. So these are obviously customizable. If you want to edit one of the tip percentages like so, we can just click into the blue pencil icon and make the modification we need. And then lastly, we do have now processors. So Supermove Payments, this is our in-house solution. And then here you guys can see Stripe because yes, we also have a Stripe integration. However, the in-house solution is obviously what we try to promote a little bit more and push a little bit harder on, right? Because we want to keep everything just in one system for ease of use and obviously for you guys to just be able to get the experience and the benefit of charging customers through the Crew app itself without having to go through any third parties. Now, with that being said, guys, we are here pretty much at the end of the payments discussion today, and we're going to leave these last couple of minutes for any questions that you guys may have. So feel free to use, once again, the Q&A button at the very bottom, and we're going to leave this space to start answering questions live. Thank you very much for everybody that was here,